Hey everyone, we wanted to step outside of our regular content and take a moment to share some thoughts on Chadwick Boseman.
So, as most of you already know by now, at the time of this recording last Friday, August 28th, 2020, Chadwick Boseman passed away from cancer. Given the structure of our show, we are normally 2 to 3 weeks ahead in the recording, but with something like this, we didn't want to wait 2 to 3 weeks to have a chance to talk about what's happened and remember Chadwick Boseman and the impact that he's had, not only in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but as a person as a whole.
So, when I first got the message, I was in shock, and I quickly sent a text to a bunch of my friends, including
Hmm.
you, and it's hard to explain the feelings that ran through in that moment. Um,
Hmm.
to see because it came out of nowhere. I mean, on the
Yeah.
par of like Kobe Bryant comes out of nowhere, you know.
Mhm.
And is the only way I can comparatively think of the feelings I was having in terms of the shock.
There are just some people that you never think about in terms of mortality like that, like, they've become such figureheads in our lives that, you know, "Oh, yeah, they're there forever, we'll see them," and then, it I mean, all death is tragic and unexpected, but it hits harder with somebody who was as young as Chadwick Boseman was, and, we all knew how great of a career he had in front of him still.
Oh yeah, yeah, very.
Um
I mean, just a quick glance on his IMDb page.
Mhm.
He had, and this is going to be the tough one because it's showing something as completed and something in
Mhm.
pre-production. 34 credits to his name, like a really great career. I mean, we can see many actors that go far in upper ages and still have fantastic careers and
Mhm.
with all the stories that they can tell.
You were mentioning the moment that you got the news about Chadwick Boseman's passing. For me, I recently had to evacuate due to Hurricane Laura, so I was in a B&B with some family, and we were just all playing board games as a way to kill time until, we could go home. And so the mood was just, it was jovial and it was energetic, and we got the news. And you could just feel the shift in the entire room of everybody reacting to it, and, like, it wasn't just people, Marvel fans or movie fans, like, I think a lot of everybody in that room understood what kind of impact he had
Hmm.
and felt that loss together. Like, there's very few times that I feel something like that in unison, and it was insane. I think we were all just kind of at a loss of words
Yeah. Well, and it
and
shows.
struggling with disbelief.
Yeah, and it shows the. Well, I mean, the reaching impact
Mhm,
across there because you said you're with your family, and we've been over this a number of times on this podcast where you, your mom, and your dad, the
mhm,
MCU is a shared experience for the three of you. I
mhm,
don't know
mhm,
where exactly your brother-in-law and your sister's at on there, but I
mhm,
I know the the expectations you have of sharing that with your niece and nephew. Similar
mhm.
to me of like sharing this with my kids. And I mean, they loved Black Panther. My wife
Mhm,
loved Black Panther, that movie. And so to lose somebody that is cherished, not just as a fan community, but even with just the family community, because you have those shared experiences there. Um, it's heartbreaking. Um,
mhm. You know, uh, I've been consuming a lot of podcasts that have been doing tributes to Chadwick Boseman, and a lot of them are geared with the Marvel lens because obviously, I'm a fan of that aspect of his life, and a lot of the things those podcasts mentioned was how Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman, what he contributed to Black Panther, changed the conversation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it became a lot more on people's radar because of the effect that movie had for everyone. And like you said, that cultural impact, like it extended beyond the fandom and brought people in.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I remember watching, there was a number of different um, tribute videos and whatnot
Mhm.
um, on YouTube, and one of the ones I remember watching was just it was like a video collage of all the tweet responses, and to
Mhm.
see the wide range of and albeit they were all had the blue check marks like celebrities or whatnot, but the range that it took between um, the music industry, the film and TV industry, um, athletes, um,
Mhm.
politicians, and all recognizing, you know, and not only that, but all in some way kind of recognizing him as a king. Kind of the way he
Mhm.
embodied T'Challa on screen, and a lot of the things he did off screen. And how he
Mhm.
embodied that character and touched so many people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before we jumped in to record these thoughts that, if you look through some of his recent filmography, and he's played a lot of American icons. I mean, he played Thurgood Marshall, Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown in Get On Up. And it, I think as we've been taking this time to reflect, one of the things that I kept coming back on to was it really feels like in history, there are just some people who understand the concept that our lives can extend beyond the limits of our existence. I think Chadwick Boseman understood that and used, his platform to do good, to embody these heroes that changed, you know, the culture, and in doing so, was able to have that same effect with Black Panther and T'Challa.
Right. Trey, so let me ask you, um, what is your favorite moment of Chadwick Boseman within the MCU?
I've talked about this a lot before already on the podcast. There's that moment in Avengers Endgame, the portal scene where the portals open up and Chadwick Boseman comes walking out, and I'll never forget this moment in the theater. Like before everything that's happened with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, like that scene already brought tears to my eyes because of the little kid in the back of the theater that just stood up and screamed, "He's alive!" And I that kid represented, I think, what makes the Marvel Cinematic Universe so special is that it does feel real, and in part is because of people like Chadwick Boseman who embody these characters, and and to see the impact that he had bringing T'Challa to life and seeing all the kids who were dressing up as Black Panther or other characters from that side of the universe, um, it was inspiring, and so it already brought me to tears, prior to this news, but now that scene has an entirely different meaning for me now,
Hmm.
and I think it's a pinnacle of everything that he was able to do,
Yeah,
um, with his time in the MCU and more.
yeah.
But, what about you? I mean, what are some of your favorite, Chadwick Boseman moments?
Um, I have three ish. And you mentioned too when we talked about this off podcast. So I don't want to. I'm not trying to steal it, but you mentioned
Yeah, go ahead.
the line from Civil War, "The living aren't done with you yet." I really liked. I don't want to go into like any deep analysis of that in the film.
Right.
It was just such a good moment for that character, and the way Chadwick Boseman was able to deliver that, it really had an impact.
Mhm.
And it and my other two moments uh, come from Endgame and Infinity War. No, not Infinity War. Endgame and Civil War, where he comes up against Hawkeye, Clint Barton, and his response to Clint was, "I don't care." And he says, "Hey, I'm Clint," and he says, "I don't care." And then in Endgame, he goes up to Clint and says, "Give it to me, Clint." Talking about
Mhm.
the gauntlet. And it's a small moment that connects those two scenes, but it really shows the growth of that character. From where we see him there to here, in that development. And so, in terms of the Black Panther character, I love those two moments, and then the way Chadwick Boseman delivered that one line. It was just
Mhm.
so impactful in terms of sealing the Russo brothers kind of thoughts on that film.
Mhm. It's always hard to deal with a passing like this because, like we've said, we're our the extent of our relationship with Chadwick Boseman is obviously through these movies, but people like him show the impact that those movies can have, and so that's why we wanted to get on here and share our thoughts, and share what it meant to us, and to acknowledge. I think I can speak for both of us how grateful we are that we had a chance to see his impact in the movie world.
Yes. And honestly, the last thing I would add in terms of impact, in a weird way, I hope to see, and I know globally, I hope there's a greater awareness for colon cancer, and that more
Hmm.
people get screened.
Hmm.
And I just hope that we brings more awareness to people who don't take I don't want to say don't take colon cancer seriously, but don't take the need to get screened and to watch and check out for that. And
Hmm.
I hope that is something good that comes of this.
Yeah. Um, You actually just reminded me. There is on Disney Plus. If you go to the Black Panther section and go under the extras, they just put up a 2020 special, remembering Chadwick Boseman, and I highly recommend it for anyone that wants to learn more about the person, the good he did. And specifically in relation to what you're saying, they did have a section on there how like it, they do hope that something to come out of this is more conversation about early screenings and taking this a more proactive step towards dealing with this colon cancer.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend checking that out. So yeah, thank you all for listening. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled episodes on the feed.